Greetings. Welcome to the East Anglian Railway Museum, and from myself as trustee, and Liz, company secretary and trustee, and our various members and curator Jackie. Most of the planning and execution of the display was down to our curator Alan Culling. Jackie has been a great help in sorting out and finishing off, and I would like to pay tribute to the work that Adam has done. He was given the job and he's got on with it beautifully. So without further ado, I'll pass over to our museum honorary president, Sir Bob Russell, to say a few words.
Thank you, Mike. Mr Mayor, Councillor Chillingworth, Mr Pavery, and there are various other distinguished ones. I've been given the full list, so I'm going to read it. Mike is a trustee, and Liz has been mentioned, and Tom Hodgson, where's Tom hiding over here, who's been a great help in putting it all together. Beth Wilkie, the Museum Development Officer, and Andrew Phillips, Mr Paxman himself, local historian. Paxman's guests, we've got Don Becklejohn, who's a trustee of the Paxman Archive, and it's very good to see Will Pavery here, and in fact there's a photograph of a young Will Pavery.
Haven't changed at all,
yes, quite. None of us have. One of the great advantages of coming out of the Second World War is that we all look younger, don't we, than our parents and our grandparents. So Will Pavery's here, former MD and Group Managing Director of Paxman's, and it's somewhat desperately sad that we are celebrating today this wonderful Paxman display in the very month or thereabouts where the Paxman's gone after this wonderful 100 and it's actually up there somewhere, 155 years, and the end of an era. And that's now got to be updated because it said that the Paxman's went in April, and of course they struggled on just a wee bit longer, but I think it's okay. I mean, it's near as damn it. It was accurate when it was put together. And then from Angel Trains we have Jack Plum, who's also with the museum, Mark Arden and Samantha Lovell. But we do have two other guests. Where are they hiding? The check shirts from BBC Essex, Steve Spluton and Ian White. So we're pleased to see you, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. So this is a momentous day. It's a historic day. I think it's marvellous to think that 50 years ago, a group of people who were not best pleased with the closure of the branch railway line from Marks Tay all the way through to Cambridge, and they did their best to try and keep the show on the road, so to speak. Well, as far as Sudbury, the show is still on the road, and as far as the East Anglian Railway Museum is concerned, here is a permanent reminder. So for 50 years, people have lovingly worked voluntarily and in professional ways to ensure that the story of this branch railway line and its important part in the life of East Anglia has been preserved. And Paxman's, anybody associated with Colchester knows that Paxman's and Colchester are synonymous. And clearly I can remember when Paxman diesel engines were a vital part of the railway industry in my lifetime, and not that many years back in that, and we've got the high-speed train displayed over there. So the end of an era, but as far as the East Anglian Railway Museum is concerned, thanks to the love and attention and detail of a small number of people, we have here a permanent display for years to come. So those of us will eventually fade away, but the knowledge of what Paxman's was, got James Paxman, the man, thrice Mayor of Colchester. He is important. Without him, much of the education in Colchester would not have gone as far as it did in the early part of the 20th century, and indeed the Town Hall Tower may not have existed if it wasn't for James Paxman's generosity. So thank you all for coming, and I'm now going to hand over and ask Mr Mayor to do the great honours of, I don't think there's a tape to cut this. I don't think there's any ribbon, not even red tape, there's no ribbon, but Mr Mayor, thank you for gracing this, the morning here. Thank you, sir.
Well, it's my privilege to be here, to be fair, Sir Bob, and as you've already said, Paxman's was an integral part of the town for generations, and indeed as a schoolboy, I had a visit round Paxman's and the foundry and to see a careers advice, I think it was. Having said that, I went back to farming where we still use forges and we still have to repair mechanical instruments. But no, as you say, the Paxmans themselves have done so much for the town, and without this exhibition really, just reminding people what actually went on and the innovation, I think. I mean, you know, going from the 1860s when, you know, steam was almost the main power, going to full diesel motors, and then 18-cylinder, I believe, engines for trains and ships. Yeah, and you said you got a life of 25 years, I think it was.
Out of the engines?
Yes,
certainly.
which is probably more than a lot of the ships actually manage. But, what I'd say, thank you to the East Anglian Railway Trust to actually home this exhibition. We're desperately short of museums in Colchester celebrating our industrial heritage, whether it's the Colchester Lathe or Paxman's or Woods. Woods are still here in one shape or another. We've still got Woods fans on our farm, which are very modern ones. But you know, Colchester was the centre of excellence for engineering, and it's all part of our history. And I think history and culture is now our main selling point as a town. And this all adds to that lovely diverse collection. So it gives me great pleasure to thank everybody that's put all this together. And let's hope that soon we'll be getting opening hours all through the week so everybody can come and actually appreciate it and see what went on. So well done everybody, and good luck for the future. Thank you.
One thing I learned that I didn't know about, I first saw the display on Sunday, and I came across this empty basket here, wicker basket, and I had to ring up and ask Jackie why it was there. And she said, well, I haven't put the label on it yet. But I was completely unaware. I knew that there was the Great Eastern Railway laundry service just behind where the main station buildings are now. And all of the table linen from the trains, from the dining trains and from the various hotels used to come down on special trains, was offloaded. And the great thing is, Paxman supplied the boilers and the machinery for laundry. 1880, and I never knew that, and I think it's pretty marvellous.
And if you look very closely, you can actually see Colchester Laundry on the front of the wicker basket. You just stare at it long enough, you can actually make it out.
Wow.
A long time ago, Paxman's had a training place, and I believe still one of our machines that's in the back of the workshops is actually from Paxman's as well.
In actual fact, we have a radial drill, which we had. Let's go back a step further. One of our early members was Alex Walford. Alex was a chartered engineer. He was a top man with Paxman Ricardo, and he came to us, and he was on the engineering side. He was an absolute terrific help, and helped us in the early days. And he came up to us and said, right, this was after we had originally the workshop when we started off was in the goods shed, which you'll see. And then we built the restoration shed, and soon after that he said, right, Paxman's are getting rid or updating a radial drill, would you like the old one? So we said, yes please. Quite a hefty piece of machinery, I think it's about 2.5 tons in weight. And so I took a 7.5 ton lorry up, and it was loaded on and secured, and I was told it was absolutely secure and there were no moving parts or anything. So I brought it quite gingerly, back here to Chapel. I came down the back road, which is on a little bit of a slope, and parked up, and I was at a slight angle, and as I got out of the cab, the arm of the drill slowly swung round my back. And I had kittens. If that had happened whilst going round any of the roundabouts, we would have been in trouble. Thank my lucky stars. There we are. Early days.